Hey there. You know, after a long, stressful day, um, I like reading stories. You do too. Well, how about you join me? I guess we can call this Story Time with Finn. Tonight we are reading Rory the Robber. Let's dive into it. Rory was the greatest robber in the whole country. And there was a great gentleman lived there. Rory was the greatest robber in that whole country, and there was a great gentleman lived there who owned a great estate in a distant part of the country. But he never got any good of the estate. For whoever he sent to lift the rents was always sure to be robbed by Rory in the mountains coming home again, and maybe killed into the bargain. So this gentleman found it was no use trying to lift the rents, and for the past 5 years he gave up lifting them altogether. Then there was a boy named Billy come to the gentleman looking to be hired, and the gentleman asked what he could do. Billy said he could do anything, and then the gentleman engaged him. And when that time of year came, says Billy, says he to his master, "Master," says he, "are ye sending no one to lift your rents this year?" "No, Billy," says the master, "for it is no use. Rory would only rob them, and maybe murder them into the bargain on the way back." Says Billy, says he, "I'll try." Well and good, the master consented. He told Billy to harness the best horse in the stable, so that he might have a chance of escaping from Rory. "No," says Billy, "but give me the very worst horse." And the worst horse Billy saddled, and went off. And when he was going through the mountains, he inquired for Rory, and finding him out, says he, "I'm Billy, the master's boy, and I'm going to such a place," mentioning the name of where the estate was. Says he, "to collect his rents, and if you're here when I'm coming back, I'll hand the money over to you." Rory thanked him for nothing, said he would be right there enough to take the rents from him. So when Billy got to the estate and collected the rents in gold and notes, he had it all sewed into the lining of his coat, all except £10 that he changed into coppers and tied in a bag and put on a saddle before him. And when he reached the mountains on his way back, there he met Rory waiting for him. Then says Billy, "I want to pretend to my master that I made a hard fight before I gave up the money, so do you," holding out his coat, "shoot your pistols through the coat that I can be able to show him the marks." Then Rory shot all his pistols through Billy's coat, making a number of holes in it. Then Billy threw the bag of coppers onto the road, says he, "There's the rents." And when Rory got down off his horse to lift the bag, Billy jumped up on it, and got away, and it was one of the swiftest horses in the country, so that Rory couldn't overtake him, and he couldn't fire after him because Billy was so cute as to make him empty all his pistols into his coat. When Billy got home to his master and gave him up the rents and told him the whole story of how he tricked Rory, his master was so proud of him and couldn't take too much of him. But then, says the master, "it was a bad thing to take his horse, for he'll never rest contented now that he'll revenged on me." They agreed it was best to leave back the horse with Rory, and so Billy started, and when he fell in with the robber and gave him up his horse, Rory said that he was a clever fellow, and no mistake, he would like Billy to join his band. Billy said well and good, he would. Off they went then, to the cave in the mountains where the robbers held their den. When they came there, Rory introduced Billy to his brother robbers, and they proposed to welcome him with a big supper. So one of their cleverest hands was sent away to steal a sheep that they might make for a fine roast. He was a long time away, and they began to chat about what was keeping him. "I'll bet you £50," says Billy to Rory, "that I steal that sheep from him." "Done," says Rory. Then Billy started away, and taking a pair of splendid big top boots he had on him, he dropped one of them about a mile from the cave, in the path the robber would take coming home with his sheep, and then on travelling about a half-mile further, he dropped the other. After rubbing it well with soft mud to make it right dirty, then, when not long after, the robber comes along with his sheep, comes up to the boot, he looks at it and says, "It's a fine top boot, but bad luck to it." Says he, "It's too dirty to entirely carry. And where's the use of it anyhow, when I haven't its fellow?" On he went then himself and the sheep, till he come to the next boot. And when he's seen it, "Bad scran to me," says he, "but there is its fellow, and I was unlucky I didn't take it." So he took and tied the sheep to a stump of a bush that was by, and started away back to get the other top boot. In the meantime, Billy loosened the sheep and took it to the cave. He got his bet from Rory. Soon the robber come to the cave with a pair of top boots in his hand, and told how he tied the sheep to a stump of a bush till he'd go back and look for the other top boot, and how, when he'd come back, the sheep broke away, and he couldn't get her. Then Rory ordered him to go back and steal another sheep. "And now," says he to Billy, when he was gone, "I'll hold ye £100 you don't steal the sheep from him." "Done," says Billy, and started off after him. When Billy got to the place he had stole the first sheep, he had close by, and waited till the robber come up with the next. And when he come up, Billy commenced bleating like a sheep, and "Bad luck be off me," says the robber, says he, "but there's the sheep I lost." And with that he tied the sheep he had with him now to the very same tree stump, and went over the ditches looking for the other sheep. Billy stole round and loosened the sheep, and away to it the cave with it, and won that £100 too. Rory had to confess that Billy was by far the cleverest thief he had ever met, even cleverer than himself. "I'll tell you what," says he to Billy, "there's one thing I once stolen, and I've been after it for the last 5 years, and couldn't succeed. But maybe you come better speed than me. It's the King of Connaught's black mare, the grandest and swiftest in the world. There never was beaten yet, or never will be beaten. If only I had her, I would defy the whole country, for none could catch me. I'll give you, Billy," he says, £400 in gold, if ye can succeed in stealing her for me. But it's a very difficult job," says he, "for there are always a guard of soldiers on the stable, and a man sitting on the back of the black mane, night and day, for fear of me stealing her." "Well," says Billy, "if I only had a good harper to come with me, I'd steal her." "Well," says Rory, "you have that here, for I'm reckoned a first-class player on the harp, and my father before me was harper to the chieftain of Knockris." Well and good, then. Billy made him disguise as a blind harper, and they both set off, and the harp with them, for the King of Connaught's castle, and Billy put Rory to play high harp before the windows, and there was a lot of high-up folks being entertained. And when the King of Connaught saw the blind harper, he made him be brought in to amuse the company, and then, of course, a dance was started, and everyone was taken up with the fun, the captain of the guards, along with everyone else. Then when Billy found the spree at its height, he went and got a jar of whiskey and drugged it with sleeping drops, and went to the courtyard, lay down close by the stables, like a drunken man fallen asleep. And with the drug jar behind him, the gods soon saw the jar, smelled it, saying that there was no watch over them that night. Whenever everybody was too taken on with the fun, that it would mean no harm to taste just a little bit of it, they passed the jar around, and on the horse's back dropped off of it, asleep with the drink too. And Billy got up and went into the stable, taking out the black mane, started off with her the mountains. And when Rory arrived, he was a proud man to find the king of Connaught's black mare there before him. He counted down Billy 400 yellow, shining sovereigns, and Billy went home with his 550 pounds, lived an honest and happy man ever after. Is that it? Wasn't that amazing? Well, guys, I took up a lot of your time. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was the first time, and if you guys are watching this, I haven't decided to just start reading a different book, because this is the best book of adventure stories, and that was the shortest one. So I'm guessing I'm gonna have to start doing this in like parts, but it's good to be back. See you, keepers.